I will cast now a Grand Final in Canyon, and I just checked the results of the semi-final, which happened during Cup of the Day, which meant that Hypeboys Black has beaten Godspeed and AD and moved into the Grand Final against Hypeboys White. And if you want to know what players are in those two teams, Hypeboys White has Mebe in it, who won yesterday the solo competition in Canyon on the same maps. Then Gravel Guy, Hot Dog, Knight, Yogosun, and TK Yos, I don't know. So those. And they play against Hypeboys Black. It's very nice that they actually made two teams that are having a similar strength, so that we actually have a nice fight and not like one over-dominant team. Because in this team we do have, for example, Erik, who got second place in the solo competition. And we also have people like Cloud, for example, or Skuggaco. Anxiety and Bull are here, and then also Helico and Zips. And this will be the final. In Godspeed we had Quentin and Nod, and Talkie and Ender. And here in AD we had Suiram, for example, Marius and Backwards. Yeah, that will be in Trackmania 2 Canyon. It will start in 5 minutes. I'm already on the server. I have currently 3 Trackmanias open. I'm also in Trackmania United, where I try to qualify for the United Grand Prix. This is the rally car, which Dio will add to Trackmania 2020 as the next car. We can do like 2-3 laps and then we go into Canyon. I only discovered these maps for a few minutes. I always played it between all the other things like Cup of the Day and Snow of the Week and so on. Uppsala. It's a bit buggy, this environment, especially with landings, but also this transition here can move the car a little bit to the left or right. It's a multi-lap track, so if you hunt that, you have to basically complete a lap, and then with the start of the next lap you can then try to improve your time. So this is a very weird ending. I have no idea what the idea is. I just jump against the wall, make a wall bang. My idea at least. Oh, this was one of these land bugs. A very small one, but it loses you so much time because the line was completely shit now. Yeah. Rip. Let's do one more try. The track is a bit weird. Yeah. The block on the left turn has some bumps in the inside, so you don't have full grip all the time. But okay, map is ending in 15 seconds and we will now go into Trackmania Canyon. To jump the hayfield, okay, that I did not realize that. Alright, I guess I will start soon. So I can already explain you how this whole match between the two teams will work out. Basically there are 3 maps. And on the first map there will be 2 submatches, a 1v1 and a 2v2. On the next map there will be a 3v3 and on the other map will be also a 3v3. The 1v1 players are not allowed to play in the 2v2 match. What will happen is that in each of the sub-matches all the players drive and get points regarding their position. And all the points from all the rounds from all sub-matches will be summed up. Every sub-match will be driven 10 rounds in total. So 10, I think at least. I think 10 rounds 1v1, 10 rounds 2v2, 10 rounds 3v3 and then another 3v3, 10 rounds. So 40 rounds in total and all the points will be summed up. In the 3v3 you can theoretically gain the most if you with your whole team make like a first, second, third or something. The 3v3 has a typical point distribution with 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it does not matter if you win around 11-10 or something. It is just 11 points for one team, 10 for the other. You sum them all up over the whole match. In the 2v2, the point system is 6, 4, 3, 1. So you will realize that the first place will always get 6 points. That means you don't want to be last and you get an extra some points for a first place. If you have, for example, a draw, like first and fourth would be in this case 7 points, and second and third is also 7 points, so you still have that kind of draw. But still, fourth place hurts a bit more in the 2v2. Yeah, and in the 1v1 it is 6 points for first and 3 points for second. So the teams have to choose which players play which submatch. I would assume that Mebe is playing all the submatches. Also not all the submatches, but all the maps at least. And they have to decide if he plays the 1v1 or if he plays the 2v2. That might also depend a little bit on the map that they play. I'm gonna have to check the names here. The white HB for the white team, the black HB for the black Hypeboys team. It's otherwise a bit difficult to realize who's actually driving for which team, because they're all Hypeboys, so you have to always focus on the color. Yeah, usually in the past team competitions in Canyon there was always this one team with all the top drivers, so they just had an easy first place. So they had, besides Mebe, also one of the other very best drivers in their team. But for this season here, where there is no prize money involved, the Hypeboys clan actually split their drivers into 2 teams. I don't know how they did it, but I guess they tried to make both teams similar strong. So it is tough to say who's the favorite. During the season there was a group stage, and in the group stage there was multiple divisions, and in Division 1 there were only 2 teams. And in the beginning of the group stage, actually the Hypeboys white team, so the team without Mebe, was for a long time winning there and staying in that division. Just at the very last playday of the group stage, Hypeboys Black actually has beaten Hypeboys White and put them into the semi-final, where they however, won. So they are now back in the final. So both teams have already beaten the other team during the group stage, and now they have to decide who will win the grand final, of course. Wait, the team with the white tags is Hypeboys Black? Nah, really? Also, I will just call Erik Cloud Hypeboys White. Yeah, this is Hypeboys White for me, and Mebe's Night Hot Dog, this is Hypeboys Black for me. I have no idea where ZBS is driving. Hypeboys Yellow. Not sure if he will drive any match because there are a lot of high stack players in both teams here. So teams did decide for the 1v1. I saw that Cloud wanted to drive for Hypeboys White, and Hypeboys Black had to decide, and I think it will be Yokosun. So, and it's not Cloud, it's Shadow instead. Okay, so Shadow, which is Skuggaco, versus Yokosun in the 1v1. And the map that we will see here is SCL Goose. So both drivers have 2 warm-ups on the map to get fit on the track, and then we will go live with the first 10 rounds. And as I said, like, you have to finish, because finishing gives you 3 points every time. You see also Erik warming up now, because he is playing then the 2v2 most likely. He was 2nd place in the solo competition, so he's probably also driving all the all the maps at least. But the admin is already asking him and also Mebe and ZBS to go spec here and let only the 1v1 drivers to warm up. But yeah, finishing gains you 3 points, so you really have to finish. And yeah, every round the winner wins 3 points on the opponent, so on the opponent team as well. On the left side you will see it in the live rankings. At least for the first map it will work. I'm not 100% sure if it will then also take the points over into the next submatch. We will see that then in the 2v2 match. It's always a bit difficult to decide who plays. In the previous seasons where we had team matches, both teams actually had like a plug-in where they could just add their name and the other team didn't know, then it was always a surprise. Now one team said this guy is driving, and then the other team can of course react, if this is our opponent, then we put this driver into the 1v1. Ideally you wanna place your driver in a way that he is just a tiny bit better consistently in all 10 rounds. Yeah, just a tiny bit better. You don't want to overpower now with somebody that easily beats all 10 rounds, but then you are not that strong in the 2v2. So you have to strategic place your drivers in those 2 submatches. But yeah, let's focus on the first round, where we see Yokosun taking an early lead for Hypeboys Black, and Skuggaco alias Shadow is behind him by 1700s. We come already close to the ending of the map, here a full speed section, a small brake trick to the right to get a nice angle for this left turn. We have a very difficult last turn here with some brake tricks, and you see that Ryuko-sun did multiple brake tricks and eventually crashed at the very ending, which meant that Skuggaco actually snipes him and takes the first 6 points here and the first 3-point lead. So as I said, the last turn is quite difficult. You have this elevation change on the road right before the right turn. You wanna no-slide it, and Ryuko-sun had not the greatest line and he tried to save himself. He did like 5 brake tricks, and if you press the brake button too long, the car will start the slide and you're immediately dead. So you really have to do very, very small brake taps. Basically what you also want to do in the ice slides, to have them very controlled. Or what you also want to do in valley, with the valley brake tricks. But it's very precise, and if one of your brake taps is a little bit too long, you're definitely then out of the round. So now, second round, and we have Ryuko-sun this time slightly behind Skuggaco. We again approach the ending. Everything can happen. Both drivers have to full risk this ending now. And this time Ryuko-sun will survive it, and this time he is the one to snipe. And this is how close canyon matches are. We have a lot of these close rounds actually. And this time Ryuko-sun 400s ahead, a 0.59. You can also remember these times. In the first round it was like a 0.6, now it was a 0.59. You can then compare it with what the drivers drive in a 2v2 match. I can say from the solo competition that it was very difficult to be consistent on this track, but usually we saw a 0.3 winning time, also sometimes a 0.2. So this is now the boring factor of a 1v1 match. The round is kind of decided. Skuggaco only has to keep it clean to the finish line, and he will get another lead. He also struggles hard with his last turn. The last turn is really out of the flow and looks very difficult to do well. And he goes into the lead. Ahead of Ryuko-sun. Now the next round. Might be that they both end up equal if both of them win 5 rounds each. And they finish every round, of course. Then they will be equal in points. Ryuko-sun with another early mistake. So another free round for Skuggaco. But yeah, what I wanted to say, in that moment when one guy wins 4 rounds and the other then 6, then we have already, of course, a bigger point gap of 6 points immediately. But in a 2v2 you can gain easily 6 points, much easier than here. I saw in the previous season that I casted a 1v1 match where one driver basically won all the 10 rounds. And if you do that, then you have around 30 points maximum of a lead. But these 30 points, they vanished quickly in the 2v2, because in a 2v2 you can of course lose way more points if the opponent team gets always first, second and you get third, fourth. Then you don't even lose 3 points only per round. You can lose up to 6 points. You will get 4, the other team gets 10. So you can lose up to 6 points every round. Here it's only 3 points per round. But usually in the 2v2 we will see not that many aces. We shouldn't see that many aces. Alright, next round. And this time Ryuko-sun did not crash. Shadow didn't have a... Oh no, wait, he had a 0.4 last round. So it was actually a decent time that he drove. This is a close fight now. If Shadow wins again, then he would already have 4 wins, but in that moment he makes the mistake, goes to inside, steers way too early into the corner, and this gives Yokosun now the win, even though he touched the wall again at the outside of the last turn. But his lead was now big enough, a 0.70 for him, and the lead is shrinking to 3 points again. So next round starting, Skuggaco slightly in the lead here in the start. So gets a bit more speed and a nice break trick around this section. Approaches this turn slightly outside, but both get it nicely no slide with a two-wheeler. Side by side, 4,000s away from each other, slight lead for Skuggaco. Makes it bigger now, very good section for him. And a very bad line for Yokosun here at the entry to the wall right, which loses him around 2/10 now that he's behind. It's a good opportunity for Skuggaco to take over the next round. But his very last turn is of course still remaining. He has a very nice line for it though. Yokosun with another crash there. And this is a 0.47. Yokosun did not drive these times yet. We see in the Deadymania records that Skuggaco has a 0.24 as Deadymania PB. And Yokosun is only 13th with a 0.59. So the favorite here, looking at the pace of the Deadymania records, but obviously people can also drive in solo, favorite would be Skuggaco. Who now, however, has a worse start in Yokosun. Almost a 10th. Again, small break tips in this left turn. This time Yokosun got a bit more speed out of this section and doesn't fail the wall right. So he can work with a lead of a 10th. Nice line by Skuggaco, comes a little bit closer to Yokosun. But had to break trick a bit more in this section. Yokosun remains in the lead, but he struggled so much with his last turn. What happens now? Ah, he barely made it around. And he drives a 0.52, which is close to the 0.4s that Skuggaco drove earlier. So again, we have only a difference of 3 points between both drivers. Skuggaco winning 4 rounds, Yokosun winning 3 rounds. We still have 3 rounds to go. Yokosun with a slight lead this time. 36 thousandths of a second. Will he find momentum now after his good time that he drove last round? Skuggaco is trying hard to catch up to him and he manages to do so. Goes into a very small lead, both players basically neck and neck, side by side, going into the ending now. Yokosun has a very tight line to deal with, which might hurt him at the exit of this turn. And that's exactly the case. Skuggaco with a bit of more speed, but the last two will decide. Both players super close together, and it is Skuggaco winning with 2,000s, driving a 0.46 versus a 46.2 by Yokosun. What a close round. And Yokosun wrote that this is his PB, and he did lose it. That is of course very unfortunate. That means Skuggaco won now 5 rounds already. And Skuggaco and Yokosun 3 makes this a 6-point lead. It was really hard to tell who wins that round. I can actually make the car more visible from Yokosun. So, next round. We have Skuggaco with a slight lead this time, but Yokosun has a great left turn Snaps also nicely into the right turn and might have a bit more exit speed. No, actually Skuggaco is still in the lead. Again we approach the ending and again it's very close between both drivers, but Skuggaco has a bit of more exit speed out of this section. Might also have more exit speed here, but can he deal with this last turn? Both players struggling. This time it is Yokozun taking it. Another close round where the last turn again was the deciding factor. 0.65 for Yokozun to win the round, and this means that we will have either a tie after the 1v1 or a 6-point lead for Skuggaco. It depends on who wins this last round. Can Yokozun tie up the match? He definitely got into good momentum now. He drove now a lot of rounds in a row with decent times. His early crashes are now quite long ago already. Nice inside line by Yokozun, and again we have both drivers side by side, 3000s only apart from each other. Oh, this is hard to tell. It is similar to the last two rounds. At the end, this 1v1 match becomes really close. We actually could see 10 more rounds with this level of play. Skuggaco this time takes a bigger lead. Can Yokozun overtake him at the last turn? No, Skuggaco has it beautiful and drives a 0.40, which is of course then ahead of Yokozun's PB. Very nice time at the end, and Skuggaco wins the 1v1 with a 6-point lead that he gives to his team Hypeboys White over the opponent's Hypeboys Black. That maybe Yokozun for Hypeboys Black was only their third best driver of the map, and that would mean that they can be really proud of winning 4 rounds and only being 6 points behind if they now come up with maybe their 2 strongest drivers. We will see who will play them for them now. But we will definitely see Erik and Mebe playing the 2v2. So we will switch the map soon again. So Mebe will play together with Knight. And it will be Erik and Cloud for Hypeboys White. Also Erik and Cloud is an incredibly good team. And Mebe has it very difficult to deny them to get first and second. Interesting will be how fast will Knight be. But he's also one of the top Canyon drivers and for sure also very well prepared for this match. So I've seen Erik and me playing the map yesterday in the solo final. I didn't see Cloud yet, but I know that Cloud is at a very high level. And I saw a message earlier in the chat that he was doing very well earlier. So it will be not easy for Hypeboys Black to catch up the 6 points in the 2v2. Even though they have Mebe playing, it's a very tough opponent to beat. Again, we will see 2 warm-ups for the players. I can also say that from the 3 maps of the map pack, Mebe didn't look too strong on this one. He definitely was also struggling a bit with the consistency, and is maybe beatable for Erik. Also Erik, for example, seemed faster in the consistency. He seemed a little bit faster than Mebe, at least yesterday. And we can expect some faster times. We have of course also 4 drivers now, so a bit of a higher chance that some of those drivers will drive faster times than in the 1v1. Skuggaco drove with a 0.40, the best match time. Again in the warm-up we see this last turn here. But yeah, yesterday in the solo final it was 0.3 and sometimes 0.2 winning time. In one round there was an exception with only a 0.5 winning time, where the other 3 players all crashed. What you should know is the fact that Mebe, who's arguably the best Canyon driver and also doing very well on the other Team 2 environments by now, he's from Australia, and you can of course guess what kind of time they have in Australia right now. So he has always the issue that when he participates in those competitions that are mainly time-wise good for Europeans, it is for him. Mata has the same issue, by the way. When Mata was playing Team GL, it is like 4 or 5 AM for Mebe. So it's not really the nicest time to play, but of course he is kinda used to this, because he has to go through that multiple times in all the competitions he plays. He has that issue that he might have to play at the very early morning. Alright. I don't know what the camera is doing here, but we will go live now. So now of course a bit more action, even more close fights, as we have 4 cars. Compared to other 2v2 matches, for example in Team GL, also in the World Tour, but also the standard 2v2 matches that we had earlier, it is not just about winning a round here. It is about every position. So if you have a safe first place and your other driver fights for second or third, you would usually in a 2v2 format say, okay, just take third and we win the round. Just save it, but here it gives you points if you actually get the second place. And again, the last turn decides the very first round here, and directly we see a 0.3 winning time for Mebe, and Erik, despite crashing the last turn, finishes with a 0.55. It is a draw overall, because Knight has crashed in the first round. Let's find a hotkey for him. Okay, sadly there is no hotkey for Knight. There's also no hotkey for Mebe, so we have to use our cursor. We can click on the left side onto the players. So Cloud this time with an early mistake. We can actually spectate him and see the overview of the players. Mebe and Erik again fighting for the lead, with Mebe having a small lead of a 10th over Erik. Knight hanging in 3rd place, trying to protect at least this 3rd place against Cloud. Will be too difficult for him now to attack Erik, I guess, at this point. So far no very close fight. All the drivers are having a similar distance to each other. Last turn. Ooh, Knight is actually drifting it. That was maybe a safe line from Knight to drift that turn, but he loses the position to Cloud, who snipes him, and we have another tie. And Mebe is finishing with a 0.28. You see on the left side that the mania record is a 0.08 by Mebe. And then we have a 0.1 by Erik, and the 3rd place is already in the 0.2s. So very strong that Mebe is so close to these times. But that actually happens in Canyon. People can drive very close to their PBs. Another bad start for Knight. He was now twice in last place, but his teammate twice in 1st place. This is a little bit how I kinda expected this match to be, because Erik and Cloud are really strong, and Knight probably has to drive fast times. You see his Steady Mania record is a 0.53, and both Cloud and Erik have the pace for stronger times. They are 2nd and 4th. And only Mebe. Mebe is the only driver that could manage to beat both of them. So it was maybe the correct decision to have Mebe in this match. Ooh, but this time it will be very close. Who will take it? Mebe will actually crash, and this is the first very sick ace here by Hypeboys White. Cloud with a 0.27, Erik with a 0.28. and Mebe was actually inside of them into the last turn. But now Mebe made a mistake due to the high pressure, and this means that 6 points were gained overall for Hypeboys White. So we do not see the points from the first submatch, so we have to always keep in mind that Hypeboys White had a 6 points advantage already. And we see here basically how the players itself do in this match, as if it was a solo match. And we see this time Cloud with an early mistake, and Erik also only a third behind Knight. That would be of course really good for Hypeboys Black if they could ace back here. Knight is still ahead of Erik, but we know that Knight went for a slide in the last turn in the other round. And that slide, it cost him a lot of time, which would mean that Erik can easily overtake him if he nails it. So let's have a look at Knight. What is he doing? Okay, he's going for the no slide this time, and he managed to hold it through, and he drove a new Mania record with a .44 and a .32 for Mebe. So we have an ace back, and the teams are again tied, with Mebe having 21 points, Knight 7 makes 28 together, and Erik and Cloud also 28. Next round starting, and we have another early touch, and it is Cloud again, who did actually quite some mistakes now in the submatch already. This is another opportunity for Hypeboys Black. If Mebe takes another first place, they would manage to actually overtake Hypeboys White in the submatch. But we have a very close fight now between Erik and Mebe. Oh, what was that line? Oh, everything changed here. Dexter with a raid as well. Yo, thank you, Dexter. How was your match? We have here also another league match actually going on. A grand final of the Canyon Team Cup. So what the heck happened here tonight? He still managed to win the round. Also, was not looking at this now. 2000s ahead of Erik. And this is now a very interesting way of tying. Knight actually beating Erik and Mebe then finishing in last. So the whole submatch is still tied overall. Crazy stuff. So let me explain for the new people first. We have 3 maps, 4 submatches, a 1v1 and a 2v2. We are currently seeing the 2v2 playing on one map, then 3v3 on another map, and another 3v3 on the third map. And what happens here is that we get these points after each round. We drive 10 rounds on each submatch, and all the points from all the submatches will be summed up. So it's not about winning the round itself, it's about all the points that you accumulated over all the 10 rounds. And currently, at the 1v1, we have seen Hypeboys White winning with 6 points more than Hypeboys Black. Oh, will Cloud get sniped? Nope. And now we see the 2v2, where it is currently, it was a tie, but now Hypeboys White with the first and third place will get a few more points, so they score 9 points in this round, and we have 5 points for Hypeboys Black. So this is now a 4-point lead overall for Hypeboys White. You can find it out if you sum up those points. Erik is only 1 point behind Mebe now in the solo standings, you could say, while Cloud is 5 ahead of Knight, so it's a 4-point advantage. And that means overall, if you sum it up to with the 1v1 results, they are leading by 10 points now. So Mebe, the arguably best Canyon player that won yesterday the solo competition on these maps ahead of Erik. We see Cloud with another mistake. He did crash quite a lot now in this submatch actually. And this is another 4th place for him. Which means that there is a chance that this submatch will be tied up again with the 1st and 3rd place for Hypeboys Black if they keep their positions here in the ending, because this last right turn is very difficult to nail, but Mebe will make it. Knight was, I think, drifting and saving it, and this is now again a tie. Good time by Mebe here, a point 22, only 14 hundredths away from his Steady Mania record. And we have seen already 7 rounds, 3 more to go, and the submatch is tied up again. So as you could expect, a very, very close match overall. Knight with an auto slide at the transition puts him 3/10 behind. Yeah, these are the top players of Canyon. Mebe won the solo competition yesterday. Erik was second. Cloud was not in the final, but he's also one of the very best drivers. And Knight is also a top player, but against those 3 he has it a little bit more difficult. But points-wise he is not so far behind after a wonky start for him. This, however, seems to be a last place for him. Or does he snipe? He did not snipe by 7 thousandths, and Cloud has beaten Mebe in front, which means that this is a win for Hypeboys White that won both of these 1v1 fights in this round. So they are leading again by 4 points over Hypeboys Black. But yeah, these players are very consistent at their pace, very close to their Steady Mania records. But of course they push themselves now a lot, and the map is also quite difficult. This is why you can see mistakes like these. They have to actually drive very sick paced here to beat the opponents. Mebe, Erik and Cloud still very close together. Very nice left upper turn by Cloud, going up into the lead, having also a bit more speed than the other 2 players, and it puts Mebe actually only in 3rd place, but it's very close still. He has a very aggressive line into this turn with a bit less exit speed than Cloud, but he has overtaken Erik with that line. It is now a side-by-side battle into the last turn where Cloud makes the mistake and Mebe takes the lead with a point 22. That means that Cloud was also on such a pace, and Cloud has a point 24 as his Steady Mania record. So he was PBing here. Very good round, and Mebe took it. Overall, this round was a tie, and we still have a 4-point lead overall for Hypeboys White. We've seen an early mistake again by Knight and also Mebe with a crash. This is an opportunity for Hypeboys White to take an ace here, and an ace means that they win 6 points. So they would lead overall then 10 points in this submatch. But we see a mistake by Cloud. This is the chance for Hypeboys Black to maybe draw up. Erik should save in front. He has it definitely easy. Cloud with way too many mistakes. This was definitely thrown away. A lot of points thrown away if he doesn't get the 2nd place here. And 4th instead. But maybe he can snipe Knight, who sometimes opt for the safe line at the end. Oh, Cloud got it beautiful, and he will snipe Knight at the end with 3 thousandths of a second. Erik wins with a point 51, and this was the last round. And we will see Mebe with a 5-point lead over Erik, but Cloud 13 points ahead of Knight. Which means that it's an 8-point difference here in this submatch for Hypeboys White. Together with the 1v1 where they were 6 points ahead, they will be leading now with 14 points in total overall. So that is what we have to remember. Oh, what did I say? They were 8 points ahead now and 6 points, or 14 points ahead. So the next submatch will be the first of the 2 3v3 matches, where the point system is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. An ace at a 3v3 match would give you, of course, 15 points and the opponent would only get 6. So in this submatch you can theoretically win up to 9 points in a single round. So you see the 3v3 match can be more important, but an ace is of course way more difficult to achieve because you have to beat all your opponents in one round. Usually after a 1v1 and a 2v2 it still remains pretty close, but in a 3v3 submatch it can happen that one team over the 10 rounds actually creates a bigger lead. But so far Hypeboys White is in the lead, but not by much. So everything is still open. 14 points can be caught up quite quickly. So the drivers are already ready here and the map will be restarted. So it will be Mebe again playing together with Knight, but this time not Yogosun but Hot Dog instead will be in the lineup. And for Hypeboys White it will be Cloud, it will be Erik, so those two again, and it will be Shadow. So the same 3 players that we have seen in the first submatch for Hypeboys White, where they scored overall more points than their opponents. The same 3 players will play again. We will see another 2 warm-ups and then the players will go live. On this map I can tell from the solo cup that we've seen yesterday that Erik looked very strong on it. He looked even a bit better than Mebe. But I've not seen any other of these players because the other 2 players in the solo final have been Ender, who was playing for AD. No, he was playing for Godspeed, and Nod, who was also playing for Godspeed. But Godspeed did not manage to reach the final. They were losing against Hypeboys. Against one of the Hypeboys teams, against the Hypeboys White team here, which is on the side called Hypeboys Black, I guess, but yeah, who cares? So from the other players, I don't know their pace yet on this map, because I was not able to follow the semi-finals. Oh. That transition I also saw in the solo final, that sometimes people went too inside and clipped. But this was just warm-up. Now we will go live with the first round. In the Daddy Mania records you can see 103.79. As driving a sub on this map is quite difficult already. So we will see, surely with 6 players we will see a sub. That's not easy. So Erik has even the record now. He has beaten Mebe's time over the day. Interesting. Mebe in second, Skuggaco in third. Then we see also Cloud in 5th, Knight in 6th. I just don't see Hot Dog now, well he's in 15th, but that's of course a little bit slower than the other players. But there will be crashes, so with some safe driving he will definitely also manage to get some positions. Looking at the first round, it looks a bit grim for Hypeboys Black, who are of course in need to catch up, because it is Mebe, their best player, crashing. And this is actually an ace opportunity for Hypeboys White here. If Skuggaco beats Knight, they will ace and win 9 points. Knight is holding on and will at least... Ooh! That is of course a bad mistake there. So Knight is even getting second, and we will see already the first sub by Cloud with a 0.94. Knight getting second. And then Skuggaco, Erik in third and fourth. Still, they win of course a lot of points here. I think 5 points in total that I won in this round. But I guess I will not count it now at every point. I will just look at the last round, how the standings are between the drivers. This is a big crash by Skuggaco, which means the last place is kinda set in stone for Hypeboys White. Gives of course a chance for Hypeboys Black. Question is, can they use it, because Cloud and Erik are very fast on this track and definitely challenge Mebe here. Let's have a look at Mebe, who's fighting against Cloud for the first place. Hotdog is losing a bit of pace here towards the others, so he is always a bit behind. 3/10 behind Knight. Knight is still close to Erik, but probably too far away to overtake. But this is the fight here between Mebe and Cloud. Who will take the round? It is Cloud with another first place. Both drivers managing a 0.9 here, and Erik in third place with a 0.06. This is this typical 11-10 round, so this is a 1 point gain for Hypeboys White overall. There seems to be a bug, it says Erik is behind. Oh, another early mistake, and this was Hotdog, I believe. If no other driver makes a mistake, never mind. There was another mistake. Which actually means that there is a chance for Hotdog to not be last. Yeah, he is 5th place now. So a good chance for Hypeboys Black to gain points. But Knight is only in 4th place and not really close to Skuggaco and Erik. Makes a small mistake, so his position is set in stone. Let's have a look at Skuggaco. But he's also a little bit behind. So we have another fight. The closest fight is again for first place. Erik with a beautiful line through this wall ride. And will he snipe? He will also snipe. By 7,000 he beats Mebe. And this is another round where Hypeboys White will win 1 point over Hypeboys Black. Thanks to the win of Erik against Mebe for the first place. Oh, but this was an early mistake here. I saw it already in the chat. Start is very difficult, and we see also every round, almost every round, someone to make a mistake there. This time it is Erik. And let's go with the camera on Hotdog. We usually see a nice overview here over the field and see who's dropping out of the fight. So far the top 4 players are very close together in this round. And is there a chance for Erik to catch up towards Hotdog? Yes, there is. So this 5th place for Hotdog is not set in stone. We know that Erik is very fast on this map and had a very good ending last round as well. And he is already attacking Hotdog for 5th. Meanwhile, in the front we see Cloud in the lead, but it is very close still. He made a mistake there. And he even drops into last, which means that we have a double lead for Hypeboys Black. That would be very crucial points. Despite Erik overtaking Hotdog here at the end. This is very good points for Hypeboys Black. Mebe winning the round with an 0-3, Knight with an 0-6, and then ahead of Skuggaco, Erik, Hotdog in 5th. Beats Cloud, who went from 1st to last in this round due to his mistake. In the solo standings, despite Mebe getting last place in the first round, he is now already ahead in points with 17, ahead of Knight, his teammate, in 16. The only problem for them is that Hotdog is a little bit behind in points. which was to be expected looking at the Deadymania records, where he is just a few tenths behind the other players. So not as prepared. Erik with a huge mistake in this turn. This is a guaranteed last place for him. And we have also Cloud with a mistake. This is actually looking very grim now, and this means that Hypeboys Black, who are looking a bit worse on this map, can actually catch up a lot of points here if they manage to keep these positions into the finish, which would be first, third and fourth. This is a huge point gain. Basically exactly what they lost in the first round of the submatch. They would now gain back with this round. Very good round for them. Not good times. Definitely not good times. Like Knight gets third place with a 104.80. But this is enough. Also the 105, fourth place for Hotdog. This was good enough. So after a very good start for Cloud, where he has won the first 2 rounds and got 12 points immediately, we can conclude that in the other 3 rounds, he only managed to score 4 points. So after 2 round victories, Cloud has crashed 3 times in a row. And this of course needs to stop. That is very bad for Hypeboys White. They actually lose their lead here. So this round looks a bit better, very close to that checkpoint, but many players are still close together. It is Hotdog, of course, again a little bit behind, and we see one crash, this time by Skuggaco, who is quite far behind already. But the top 4 players are still neck and neck here. Cloud in the lead, could win his 3rd round of the submatch. And then Knight and Mebe trying to stay in front of Erik, who, as we know, has good endings. And Cloud with another huge mistake, and this is another opportunity for Hypeboys Black to get another 1 and 2 into the finish, and they do so with a tie. Mebe and Knight tying for 1st and 2nd place, beating Erik, who is actually struggling with pace right now a little bit, and Cloud is throwing away another round where he was looking so good. And in the standings here, even Hotdog is only 4 points behind him now. But he will not catch up that much because he made a mistake right at the start. But Cloud, also in the first submatch that he participated in, he managed to make way too many mistakes, which allowed Hypeboys Black to stay in the game, and now they actually might catch up a lot. Also they definitely are in the lead here in the submatch. And again, it's looking good for them. Like in the start, it looked very grim for Hypeboys Black, and I thought we might have a decision here with this submatch, but now it looks very different. Like they have with Hotdog a guaranteed last place if everyone survives. And Mebe is not even that safe the fastest, but Knight is doing a very good submatch here. And this time it's Mebe with this mistake. Oh, this might be a very difficult part, and Cloud is attacking Knight. Cloud with a very good ending, and Hypeboys White is actually catching up again in points due to Cloud beating Knight both with a 0.9 time, Cloud with a 0.93 even. And Erik and Skuggaco now in 3rd and 4th, because now it was Mebe who made this very bad crash. And it is Knight and Mebe tied at the ranking at 30 points. So Knight really with an exceptionally good submatch here. And due to him, they are still gaining points. We see another mistake. I think that even Mebe has done another mistake. Yes, he was one of those. And he is in last place. Skuggaco is in 5th place. So Mebe actually beginning to struggle here. And it is again only Knight who can do good points here. Because Hotdog is also now behind Skuggaco. So this is now another good round for Hypeboys White. So the momentum is switching again towards the white team from Hypeboys. thanks to mistakes that Hypeboys Black is doing now. Oh, very risky line by Knight going full over the edge, and this time he is sniping Cloud, so he is doing the comeback. 7,000, a .90 and a .91, so the times are getting faster and faster. And Knight is at least securing the first place, but still overall Hypeboys White gaining points again with positions 2, 3 and 4. So this is now round 9 of 10, so the second to last round coming up, and Knight this time with a small touch. He has the most points overall. That might change now if Mebe wins and he gets last, but he is not too far away. Surely he will at least overtake his teammate Hotdog, looking at the pace of the match so far. And another crash by Cloud, who did score some good points in the previous rounds, partly, and is now far ahead of Hotdog and is also ahead of Skuggaco, but he still manages to make some mistakes. And now we saw a crash by Knight again, which means that Cloud and Hotdog battle for 4th place, which is most likely going into Cloud's favor. No, it's not. He makes another mistake. He stays in 5th, however. But let's have a look at the fight for 1st place or 2nd as well. Mebe manages to hold on for 2nd, but he will not beat Erik, who wins the round with a .07. And this is another round where Hypeboys White is making ground. And who has now actually the most points in this submatch? So we have Mebe 2 points ahead of Erik and Knight 6 points ahead of Cloud, which means that's an 8 points advantage, but Skuggaco is 9 points ahead of Hotdog, so that means 1 point difference between the two teams. 1 point for Hypeboys White, who made a huge comeback after it looked very grim when they crashed multiple rounds in a row. But at the moment they would win the submatch. We have the last round, and the momentum is of course looking good for Hypeboys White at the moment. But Cloud is crashing once again in the lead, and once again he crashes it away and drops from 1st to last. This is of course not good because he loses directly 5 positions, and especially all 3 positions to the opponents. And that leaves now Mebe and Knight in the fight for 1st place with Erik. And Hotdog can of course secure that 5th place. He's also close to Skuggaco, but it is Hypeboys Black winning in front with a .10 for both players. So Knight is winning the submatch actually ahead of Mebe. And there was also this round where they tied. And with this round where they get an 11, 13 points, and the others then 8. So 5 points, so that means that they won 4 points overall in the submatch. Yeah, I had to count a little bit. But it's true, they were 1 point behind. They won in this last round 5 points. So they win the submatch with 4 points. They were 14 behind after the first 2 submatches, win 4 points now. So we have 10 points difference. And them, or also here called Max Smurf, is also updating the score in the in-game chat. So 225 points for the one team which has the white name tags, and 10 points behind at 215 we have then the team with Mebe. Yeah, now we go to the last submatch. This will decide everything, unless they manage what they actually plan to do. If they manage to end up in a complete tie after this 3v3 is over, so after the 10 rounds, if they manage to end up in a tie, then they would probably drive a 3v3 submatch on the first map again, on the map where they played 1v1 and 2v2. I assume at least that they would do that. So we have again 2 warm-ups, and here I can tell you that on this map and the solo final, this was the map where they started with, so this was the first map of the match. They played 4 rounds on each map, and Mebe has won all 4 rounds on this map in the first rotation. He was extremely consistent, and he was just a little bit faster than his opponent, so that he won every single round. When the map appeared again in the second rotation, he was not as dominant. He made a mistake right in the first round. He still did, of course, well, but he was not that dominant anymore. But he showed in the first map rotation that he has potential. He has the Daddy Mania record with a .94, and he leads with incredible 14, now only 13 hundreds, because Erik actually manages to improve his Daddy Mania record. So he is still leading with like almost 1300s, which is a lot in Canyon, as you see, because you see how close these rounds are. So 1300s in the front, that's quite a lot. And we of course don't know if that's the real PBs. That's just Daddy Mania. Somewhere they might have local records on some other servers. They might also play offline and have their times, but I guess most of them do play online in the Daddies. And Mebe looks very strong. You see also in this warm-up round how he is already in the lead by quite a lot. Yeah, then we have Erik and Helico in second and third. We see Cloud also in 6th place, and for Hypeboys Black, besides Mebe, we only see Knight, but pace-wise a bit behind. And I don't even see Yogosun in these records yet. So we will have to see how this ends up. I think for Mebe this is his strongest map, just because he had that 6th start into the solo final yesterday, where he drove consistently 0.0 high. So basically what the others have as PB, that is what he drove consistent. But sadly his teammates seem to miss out on pace, but maybe they didn't thrive in the Daddies. So with a 10-point lead of Hypeboys White, they are still the favorites to win this whole match. But Mebe definitely should look a little bit stronger on this map, but he actually has to perform now, has to win all the 10 rounds to give his team a chance, I believe. So first round, and we see Mebe crashing. And this could already now be the rip, because we have only Knight battling against Hypeboys White. He's doing a good job in that though. Oh, Helico with an important crash, which keeps this round still close, because Knight manages actually to win with a .16. A tie between Cloud and Erik. Mebe ending up in 4th place, and Helico then in 5th ahead of Yogosun, who made a mistake as well. We're gonna spectate Yogosun from now on. This is a 1-point gain for Hypeboys White. A 2-3-5 situation, but it is a very thrown away opportunity from Hypeboys Black, because if Mebe just holds the 1st place, then they catch up a lot. As I said, 10 points difference between both teams, and we see 2 mistakes already, 3 mistakes already. Mebe does make another mistake. Oh, this is not good. This is not good, because he needs to score well for his team. Yogosun seems to struggle a little bit, pace-wise and consistency-wise, but in this round he can keep his 5th place. We will now go up to Knight. Will he actually win for Hypeboys Black again? He did a great job in the previous 3v3, but this time he's losing in the last turn his lead to both opponents, and that's of course a huge difference in points. And that were, thanks to Mebe's mistakes, Hypeboys White can actually create a little bit of a gap here. And this of course is a bit against the excitement, because the gap between the two teams is just getting larger at the moment, but we still have 8 rounds to go. And in both rounds we can conclude if Mebe would have finished in first, then the whole outcome would be very, very close here. Knight definitely is looking like he can challenge Erik and Cloud, and that is very important to see for Hypeboys Black. This round was close between all players, but then we saw the first mistake by Skuggaco, who of course has to warm up first a little bit. He didn't play a single submatch, but he played this map a lot and has a very good local record on it. Yugosun, most likely in the situation like Hotdog last match, is a bit slower than the field, but he manages to actually get 4th here with a .39, where he improves his 15th Deadymania record. Mebe is winning the round with a .10. Knight getting 3rd, Yugosun 4th. That's a good round now for Hypeboys Black. We will now spectate Skuggaco, who we see for the first time in this grand final. And of course it is a very nerve-wracking situation for him, the deciding map, and he's one of the players that has to get the points to win it, and he is not that often in the situation. His Deadymania record shows that he is a top Canyon player, but he was not often in the situation, and he might actually have a very shaky finger right now. And we can definitely see that in his positions of the first rounds, where he scored only 4 points out of 3 rounds. Now, however, a great chance for Hypeboys White to get some lead again, because it is only Mebe ahead of them. Yugosun and Knight both made mistakes, or Yugosun just a little bit behind. This last turn, very weird to try. Will Mebe hold the lead? He will, with a .12 ahead of a .17 and a .20. But of course, overall this is a round for Hypeboys White, where they win 3 points. And slowly but surely, Hypeboys Black needs to start catching up. They need to gain 10 points in this submatch, and we have driven already 4 rounds. We have only 6 rounds left, and so far they lost points. But one good round where Mebe and Knight maybe get 1st and 2nd, and maybe Yugosun also not last, and they immediately put some pressure onto Hypeboys White. Skuggaco with a very shaky line through the S turn, but he manages to hold himself in 4th place. Yugosun is very close to maybe not get last, but he might still end up in last. Mebe Knight might get 1st and 2nd, though Erik with a very bad last turn, which means it is the 1st and 2nd place. Exactly what I needed, exactly what I mentioned before the round started. 1st and 2nd with .11 and .18. Sadly for them, Yugosun, even though he drove a .43, which is close to his PB, he ends up in last place with that and couldn't help his team further. Him and Skuggaco are points-wise close together, but very far behind the other 4 players. Mebe, after his very wonky start, where he crashed twice and got only 4th places, is now actually in the lead in the points due to his winnings that he did in the previous rounds. However, this round, and this is very bad news, because if this team wants to win, they really need Mebe to not crash at all anymore. And this is another crash by Hypeboys Black. Knight with a clip there, and this is maybe the title deciding round here, because this point score that they will gain, it is not an ace. Oh wow, even even Mebe is still overtaking Erik here, and still, this is a very, very crucial round for Hypeboys White because they gain a lot of points back, and now Hypeboys Black, if they want to catch up, they really need to gain points in every round and also some big points. They need Mebe to win every single round from here on. He managed to make way too many mistakes for what they need. If they want to catch up, they need Mebe to basically win all 10 rounds. This is of course very hard to ask for, but he was very consistent yesterday. He won 4 out of 4 rounds in the solo final, and he drove 0.0s. He didn't even drive 0.0 now, he drove 0.1 low though, so very close to that. But they really need to have him winning all the rounds from here on, and Knight needs to back him up. So far, this round looks not bad, because Yokosun is also in the fight. Had a bad turn there, however. But let's have a focus on Knight. If he can hold that second place, it would be crucial. And Mebe in first. Yes, they do that. So it's not over. They catch up some points again. Point 12 and point 14, and they need to repeat that now. They need to repeat this performance in all the other rounds, then they have a chance to catch up. We will see only 3 further rounds. Currently, Mebe is 4 points ahead of Cloud. Erik 1 point ahead of Knight, which means 3 points. So yeah, so Hypeboys Black is 1 point ahead here. So overall, it's a 9-point difference between the two teams. 9 points. And 3 rounds to go. And we see mistakes. I think from both teams. Erik was surely a mistake from Hypeboys White. But, okay. He's actually last and Yokosun is in 5th. So we see again Mebe and Knight fighting for the lead. If they can get 1st and 2nd again, this would be huge for them. Oh, will Yokosun even keep his 5th? He will not. But we have another 1st and 2nd, the front at least. So this is a 3-point gain. So it makes it a 6-point difference. But this is now a championship winning round. If Hypeboys White is gaining good points here and makes the gap between the two teams over 9 points, then they win the championship. But they might also lose their lead at this round. Everything can happen. Definitely Yokosun's position loss was quite crucial in the previous round. Of course, everything is crucial right now, with only 2 rounds to go. No crashes so far. Everyone is still within the 10th. Yokosun falling a slight bit behind now, but he's really trying hard. He is definitely on pace of his PB again, but without mistakes, he will be in last place. The thing is, however, that Knight and Mebe are doing well, but what position will Knight actually get? It is only 4th! It is only 4th! There was a chance for 2nd. 0.03 for Mebe. He is showing off now exactly when needed, but they lost a point. And it is a 7-point gap between the two teams now. There was much more possible. If Knight gets that 2nd place, it is super close and the momentum is on Hypeboys Black. But now they need to catch up 7 points. And that only works if they get 1st, 2nd and 4th. I believe. And the thing is that Yokosun needs to get 4th. At least. But he doesn't have the pace, so he needs to rely on mistakes here. So if Hypeboys White keeps that clean into the finish, then they will win this. Because Yokosun needs a better position. Mebe and Knight are there, but sadly Yokosun is not there. He will get the 5th place, but that is not enough. It is actually decided by 2 points. It is decided by 2 points in favor for the Hypeboys with a white tax here. 2 points difference after 40 rounds that were played. The Mebe team has not won. The fact that Yokoson lost the position to Erik in the other round before makes these 2 points. If that didn't happen, they would be actually equal. It couldn't have been much closer, to be honest, this grand final. It would of course be better if you would see the total point score all the time. I know that in other editions we had a plugin, I think. Did it show that? I'm not 100% sure if it showed it over all the submatches. That would of course make it easier, wouldn't need to calculate all the time, but yeah, wow, that was as close as it can be. Yeah, Hacker is saying that Black wins because the Hypeboys Black team from the website is using the white name tags here, and the Hypeboys White team from the website is using the black name tag, so they make it maximum confusing for us. But yeah, wow, that was that match could have gone in any direction. The fact that Mebe has crashed so many rounds in that final map definitely made the difference. If he was a bit more consistent and didn't lose so many rounds in the beginning, because you saw how good he was on that track, he could have won also 8 or 9 or even all 10 rounds in theory, but he did make some mistakes, and that actually avoided the comeback kinda. But yeah, very, very close. Match overall, one of the closest grand finals you could actually think of. If that ended up now in a tie between the two teams, that would have been super crazy. If they really go to a deciding match then.